How about them dogs?
All right, Eric, before we head out, man, we got to do some predictions of these first round of the college football playoffs. You got some intriguing matchups, some lines that are very interesting to say the least for me. It seems like Vegas does not think that we're going to have that many competitive games. But let's go ahead and talk about it. First game we're going to talk about is Friday night's game against the Indiana Hoosiers that we did talk about earlier in the podcast. They are going to South Bend to face Notre Dame. Notre Dame is currently 8.5-point favorites. Eric, what are your thoughts on this game, and who do you think wins to go face my Georgia Bulldogs in the Sugar Bowl?
So if you look at just Indiana versus Notre Dame, 99% of America is going to go Notre Dame just for the name value.
Fair.
But if looking at the stats, like yards per game, Indiana's 24th, Notre Dame's 41st. Indiana's second in points per game. Notre Dame is third in points per game. And then their defensive, Indiana's second in yards per game, Notre Dame's eighth. Notre Dame allows 13 points per game, Indiana 14 points a game. I don't know where they are getting this 8.5-point line at.
Right.
Because I do not think this game is going to be a blowout. It's going to be close. I don't think so either. Yeah. And it's going to be good. It's going to be probably my second favorite first round matchup.
Okay.
But I do believe, much like the Huskies of Northern Illinois did, they're going to walk right into South Bend. They're going to beat Touchdown Jesus. And it's going to be Indiana versus Georgia.
Oh, wow. Okay. I like that pick. I did enjoy watching Indiana football. Coach Sig is the man. I love him. I love his energy. I just enjoy how quickly he turned that team around. It made them a very confident team, although like we said earlier, the schedule leaves a little bit to be desired. And that one game against Ohio State really sticks out like a sore thumb because those guys did not show up. So for that reason, I'm going to pick Notre Dame because I do like Notre Dame's defense. Love the way they use Riley Leonard. And I like their running back. He got a little juice to him. I like their team. I like to see them in New Orleans, New Year's Day. I got Notre Dame winning that game. So we're split there. All right, next game, Eric. This is going to be this should be a really good game. I think, honestly, this may be one of the most interesting games of the week. I think most people are going to be locked in on Tennessee, Ohio State, but honestly, I think the SMU Penn State game is probably going to be a very interesting and fun game for me. Penn State is currently 8-point favorite, which seems like too much for me, but hey, what do I know? I'm just a college football fan. Eric, what do you think of the at-large SMU Mustangs going to Penn State? It should be a whiteout. So who do you think comes out to win?
It is confirmed it will be a whiteout. They're going to Penn State in the winter with the high of 36 that day. 11-mile-an-hour winds. They've got a whiteout. Them Dallas boys ain't gonna know what hit them.
Okay.
I got Penn State by 2 scores.
Oh wow! So you got Penn State covering. I like that.
Penn State covering to go face Ashton Genty and the Broncos.
Got that. All right, I agree with you on Penn State winning. Man, you bring a valid point with that weather because I don't think it gets down to 36 degrees in Dallas. Last I checked, but I do like SMU's quarterback. He's fun. He's a fun player to watch, and the way that those guys stood up against Clemson to fight back when other teams would have just sat and folded that ACC championship, that makes me at least cheer for SMU. But I agree. I think Penn State wins that game. All right, moving on to ACC champion Clemson Tigers, Goofy Dabo. I love making fun of the guy, but damn it, Eric, he's like a cockroach, man. I don't know what it is about Dabo. Um, we can laugh and joke at him. He doesn't mess with the portal. He doesn't encourage NIL, but yet and still, he has won, I want to say, like 9 of the last 11 ACC championships. It's insane. Shout out to Clemson for turning it around when others, this guy right here, thought that it was over. They won the ACC, so shout out to them. They are coming to Austin, Texas to play the Longhorns of Texas. Just finished losing to Georgia in overtime. We're having more questions about Quinn Ewers and more questions as to why isn't Arch being used in certain manners. But with all that being said, Texas is a 10.5 favorite going into that playoff game, which should be rocking. I can't wait to see Clemson go down to Texas. Who do you have in this matchup?
One quick note on the Arch situation. The fact that they only put him in for one play against y'all, and it was a goofy little draw play.
I like that play, though.
I liked it, but
I liked it.
golly.
That center, shout out to that center, because you got to be a technician to be able to do that shit, man. That was crazy.
Texas needs to figure out something to do with Arch. I know he's starting next year, so there's potentially 3 games left. But, I think he's a weapon you should utilize. Okay. You made a lot of good points about Clemson. They're a cockroach. Dabo won't die. Fuck Clemson. Horns up. Give me Texas.
Nice. Okay. Now, 10.5 seems like a lot for me in this. And I would actually bet that Clemson covers this, because Texas has shown me against Georgia, Texas has shown me that their offensive line in the interior are not up to snuff. And one thing we can all say about Clemson's defensive line, their defensive line has been historically on point. And this year is no different. They got ballers on that D line. I think they give Texas some issues, but I'm going with Texas to win. I got Clemson covering. Okay. Surprisingly, because I definitely want to see Clemson get blown out. Anytime I can see Dabo looking like a goof on the sideline is one of my favorites. But
must be nice to be a 3-win team in the playoffs. Or 3-loss team, I'm sorry.
Right. 3. Yeah. Shout out to Clemson, man. All right, final game, Eric. I think this is the most highly anticipated matchup, because these are two programs that are great fan bases. I'm not going to say great as in great people, but okay. I'm going to say great as in support.
Okay.
2 teams that have some stars. On Tennessee, you got Nico. Nico's the man. If he's healthy, he is the man. Their running back Samson led the SEC in rushing. Mm-hmm. Great season for him. And on Ohio State, it's a who's who list of players on that offense and defense. Shout out to Caleb Downs. He is firmly placed himself amongst the best defensive backs in the nation. We all knew that his freshman year at Alabama, when Saban, before he even set foot on that field, Saban pretty much ordained him. He was like, no, Caleb is him. Like, we all knew that before the season. So I know it's a heartbreaker for you to be able to see that young man playing for Ohio State, but they are hosting Tennessee. Ohio State 7-point favorites in this nighttime matchup that I can't wait to watch, Eric. Who is going to win and have the right to go face the number 1 team in the nation, the Oregon Ducks?
So before I even get into the game, I think this matchup should have been flipped. I think it should have been Ohio State at Tennessee. Okay. Tennessee has showed me more this year to warrant a home game than Ohio State has.
Okay.
With that being said, Ohio State gets the name, brand value, all that stuff. That's
For
the
sure.
reason why. I'm not going to argue it either way. It's going to come down to a quarterback play, in my opinion.
Okay.
And Nico is head and shoulders a better quarterback than Will Howard. I believe Will Howard showed the nation this year that he is not as good as previously thought. But I do believe that Tennessee walks into the shoe, makes a hot seat for Ryan Day even warmer, and I think he gets the job done. And they force that matchup with top ranked Oregon and
Nice.
Tennessee, and you know how much I hate to say that.
For sure. We both do. I agree with you, man. I think the the frustrating thing about Ohio State is statistically their defense is one of the best in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
But in certain situations, be it their cornerbacks, little suspect. Their defensive line has shown that they can get moved around. It's unfortunate that they have to play the SEC's leading rusher and an explosive passing offense with some talented guys on the outside. I think they are a wide receiver or two away from actually being a natty contender, a true contender, in my opinion. But I think Nico makes the plays that he needs to make. I think they run the ball well. And one thing that not many of us are talking about, the best defense that came out of SEC this year was the Tennessee Volunteers. Yep. I think they get pressure on Will Howard, and I got Tennessee beating those guys. I got them beating them. Sucks to be you, Ryan Day. Sucks to be you. If you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, and of course, look us up on socials at Suplex Dinner Club. And be sure to check out our other projects. We talk college football on Dogs versus All Y'all. That's a weekly college football podcast where we don't just talk about the Georgia Bulldogs. We talk about all things college football. The Life and Times pod, which is short for the Life and Times of a Restaurant Lifer podcast, where I have some chill conversations with some cool and interesting people that I've met in my years in the hospitality industry. And of course, check out Talk 'em in the Building. That's a pro wrestling podcast where we solely focus on the promo. We talk about the talkers, we hype the hype man, and we pontificate on the promo. It's a fun project, and if you're a pro wrestling fan, I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. If you're into TV and movie reviews, check out Four Corners Cinema with Ari and Adrian, a podcast where two lifelong pro wrestling fans review film and other forms of media that just so happen to have some of our favorite pro wrestlers. The Suplex Dinner Club family is growing, and I would love for you to be a part of it.